Good evening. This is Kevin Octave, and this evening we're going to be talking about interpersonal communications. This is a project that I'm doing for Human Services 508 at Liberty University, March 11, 2011. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce myself again. Kevin Octave. I am from a small island of St. Lucia, which is located in the Western Caribbean. Um, Once I lived there, I moved to Brooklyn, New York, where I lived there for about 10 years. After about 1990, we decided to move after the Crown Heights riots and moved to Fort Myers, Florida because it was safer for me and my family. In 2000, I received a track and field scholarship to Liberty University, and in 2006, I graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science. In 2008, I decided to enlist into the Air Force so I could serve my country and I could also pursue my master's in human services. Tonight we're going to be talking about what is interpersonal communications, what is enlarging the conversation, behavioral blend, potential communication barriers, noise pollution, and my plan of action. My overarching goal is to become a better communicator, both speaking and listening. I believe that if you're going to be an excellent communicator, that you need to be proficient in both speaking and listening. Another goal is to learn how to enlarge the conversation and to become a level 1 listener. What is interpersonal communications? Stewart explains in his book, Bridges Not Walls, which is a book that we use throughout the entire semester, that interpersonal communications is defined as the type or kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of that person. Enlarging the conversation. Stewart also says there is a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life, which I strongly believe if you can communicate really well, there are certain parts of your life that will actually be pretty good too. The way that I want to learn how to enlarge the conversation is to identify my communication needs and find resources to improve those needs. Behavioral blend. Behavioral blend is the blend of how two perspectives influence a person's behavior, what is expected of oneself, and who the person actually is. Carbonell said in his book, The People Puzzle, which is a pretty good book. Basically, it talks about all the personality types that we have, and basically breaks down each personality type. During about the second week of the course, we had to take a uniquely you questionnaire, which basically tells you your communication skills and your personality type. Obviously, I didn't do that good because I got a 76 out of 100, which indicated that I was a good communicator, but again, there's a lot of room for improvement. The expected of me personality type that I got was an I, which I'll explain. And this is me personality type is a DI, which I'll also explain. So for personality type I, the strengths that I had was inspiring, influences to others, stand out in the crowd, well-liked, popular person in the group, very active, people-oriented. Then some of my weaknesses was I'm too optimistic, too trusting, at times can think too highly of myself, struggle with pride, easily talked into doing some things. And just to talk about that a little bit more, basically with the I personality type, we are kind of influenced to help other people because it makes us feel good, so that's why we do it. And that's kind of a weakness too, because we will kind of overstretch ourselves sometimes. And then for the DI personality type, some of my strength was very driven and inspiring type, outgoing, involved, confident, positive, natural born leader. Some of the weaknesses that I had in the DI personality type: demands control, needs recognition and approval, struggles to let others shine at time, try to take on more than one that I could basically handle, and overconfident at times. Once I got done actually reading the personality types, the weaknesses and the strengths, I was actually amazed that it's pretty accurate. If you know me, you could read these lists and be like, yeah, that's Kevin. Potential barriers. Braylon Allen, in her book, Listening the Forgotten Skill, she talked about listening barriers exist when someone hears what they want to hear and what is not really communicated. And I also believe that's true. I think we all fall victim to that sometimes. Instead of really listening to what somebody's saying, we kind of just hope that's what they're saying and kind of interpret it the way we want to. And again, these some of my struggles that I have is hearing what I want to hear, and I guess we all have that problem. Being a level 2 or 3 listener at times, basically you're not even listening, you're just looking at the person. And a biased listener is something that I do struggle with, but that's something that I've been working on even since the second week of class, but I'll get into that in a little bit more. Noise pollution, internal and external. Stewart, in his book, also said that in order for us to form a healthy relationship, we must first form a healthy communication habit. And I also believe this is true. During the 6th week of class, fifth or 6th week of class, we had to watch a movie called Fireproof, which I know a lot of people have watched. And the couple had a communication barrier, and they were going to get a divorce because they didn't know how to communicate. So Stewart really hit this dead on. Internal noise pollutions are things that people do internally to build barriers that prevent them from listening effectively. External noise pollution can be anything from loud noises, deadlines, which could be like in class or at work, clock watching, also in class and at work, and then interruptions. So when you're actually doing your work in class or at work, you're constantly getting interrupted. So if you could basically eliminate even half of these things, it would really help your communication skills, and especially your listening skills. So my plan of action, after the 8-week course, I basically wrote a list of things that would help me become a better communicator. For one, being an active listener. So instead of just listening to somebody, actually talking to them, actually, paraphrasing what they're saying, kind of get more in depth to what they're saying, so you're not just listening. Working on becoming a level 1 listener, which should be everybody's goal if they want to work on listening. Reduce ritual listening, which is something that we all, again, fall victim to just by sitting there listening and thinking about other stuff, daydreaming and whatnot. I also need to stop bias listening, and again, that's something that I did struggle with. It got pointed out to me really quick during the 2nd week of class, and that's something that I've been actively working on. Just because I don't like a topic somebody's talking about, or I don't particularly like the person I'm talking to, doesn't mean that that person or that subject shouldn't get my full attention. And one other thing that I'm going to do is to continue actively working on my communication skills. Just because the class is over doesn't mean I have to start learning how to communicate better. That's something that I'm going to have to do because of the career field I'm going to be in. I'm always talking to people, always have to deal with people, and I encourage anybody that is in a career field like that, you need to work on your communication skills. So my review of the experience of interpersonal communication, it was a good one. Before I even started the class, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh, this is another class that's required, let me just go through it. But I actually, after the first week, I was impressed. I was really impressed to see how well we don't communicate, especially how well we don't listen. So I encourage anybody that wants to, work on the communication skills. You don't have to sit the class, but there's different avenues you could do. You could read books. YouTube is a good thing. The internet, Barnes and Nobles, it's a good thing. So I encourage anybody to work on communication skills. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to take up some of your time this evening. Everybody have a great night, and God bless. And my next slide would be my references.